Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you are watching the Waifu Files, a series where we discover and celebrate various anime and games through their lovely ladies. A while ago, Dai-kun held a vertical live stream discussing the implications of robot girlfriends. He looked at the difference between our fantasies of the perfect robo-girl and the potentially harsh reality they could bring. For today's episode, we'll be looking at a number of anime that embrace this fantasy of robo-waifu. It's an extremely common theme with plenty of examples, so my list is by no means definitive. I'll be speaking of shows I've personally watched, and excluding waifu already showcased in previous episodes, like my Cyberpunk special, or waifu from series that deserve an episode all their own. We've got 7 entire anime to cover, so in the interest of time, let's dive right in. Let's start off tame with a cerebral anime called Time of Eve. It takes place in the near future, with androids being so commonplace that most households have them as companions. Despite their lifelike design, Japan's ethics committee encourages citizens to be weary of androids, leading people to abuse or otherwise subjugate them. The story kicks off when a boy named Rikuo Sakisaka discovers his family's android servant Sammy has been making detours while running errands. He then tracks her to a strange cafe that hides the hollow rings around androids, making it impossible to distinguish between androids and humans. In other words, it's a sanctuary that aims to be free from discrimination. Sammy is a regular there, buying the cafe's unique coffee grounds to serve at home. She cares about Rikuo and is sad to see him quit playing the piano after being disillusioned by robots that can put on a flawless performance. She's a total sweetheart who is rarely able to show her true personality while on the job. Initially, Rikuo treats her harshly, unwilling to trust a machine due to the propaganda he's been raised on. After visiting the cafe, however, Rikuo learns to accept Sammy, and she even encourages him to start playing again. The two of them continue to visit the cafe together, helping to keep it a secret from the ethics committee. The Time of Eve Cafe is just one of several gray zones hoping to bridge the gap between humans and androids. Ever since a violent incident 10 years prior, the Ethics Committee has banned many such establishments. The incident, which resulted in casualties, did have a survivor though. Her name is Nagi, Time of Eve's barista. While the exact details are unknown, we do know the incident left her hospitalized, and her life was spared due to cybernetics. You can't tell by sight, but she has artificial limbs. Considering herself part machine may explain why she's so sympathetic toward androids and wants them to be happy. The other reason is that her guardian, referred to as Shiotsuki, was the one who created the android's AI, labeled Code Life. Nagi and her guardian have opened multiple cafes like Time of Eve, but they've all been shut down. Regardless, it seems Nagi is determined to ensure that Shiotsuki's children can laugh alongside humans. This motive of hers is clear, even without knowing her backstory. She's truly compassionate to all her customers, and her mediation helps fight back against the anti-android sentiment being shared across the country. She hopes that, one day, the environment she facilitates in the cafe can spread throughout the globe. Throughout the story, Time of Eve is monitored by an agent named Setoru. He works for Dr. Ashimori, a mysterious woman who used to be in contact with Shiotsuki. Her motives are unclear, but it seems she can be lenient. Rather than shutting down Time of Eve, she instead observes it from the shadows, even protecting it from the ethics committee. She must have faith in Nagi's ambition, and is simply making sure things don't turn violent like they did in the past. From the moment you step inside Time of Eve, you won't know for sure if the people you meet are humans or androids. Only by following a patron outside can you learn the truth, which is why the cafe keeps its doors locked between customers leaving. Of course, if you happen to run into one of them outside anyway, their secret is lost. Such is the case for Akiko, an energetic girl who quickly befriends Rikuo and his classmate Masaki. Akiko's personality in the cafe is so vivid that Rikuo is shocked to find her so emotionless and submissive for her master. That's right, Akiko is an android who uses the cafe to escape being mistreated at home and work. She deserves better, but at least there's somewhere she can go and enjoy herself. A platonic inclusion for this list is Chie, a young girl who is cared for by the android Shime. Contrary to his elderly appearance, Shime is actually a newer model designed to look after children. Sure enough, Chie adores her foster father, and he in turn treats her like his own daughter. She's a goofball, spending her time in the cafe declaring she's a cat. Our last time of Eve waifu is Rina, a gorgeous woman who visits the cafe with her lover, Koji. At least, that's how it looks to others. She's actually another android, one who serves her VIP master as a bodyguard. It can be hard to hide her true nature while performing regular maintenance on herself. Still, she does her best to ensure that Koji never learns she isn't human. It's clear she cares for him dearly and fears that being outed as an android would ruin their relationship. What she doesn't realize is that Koji is also an android, and he's been hiding this from her as well. Even though Rina looks like an escort, Koji actually fits that bill in practice. His master is emotionally vulnerable and relies on him for intimate support. Because of that, he visits with Rina at the cafe in an attempt to better understand human interactions, not realizing he's been getting that experience from talking to a fellow android. The two make for a wholesome, yet dynamic duo. Perhaps my favorite anime in this episode is Steel Angel Kurumi. Its story focuses on the Academy, a group of scientists from the future who aim to save their world from an onslaught of demons. To fight back, they create Steel Angels, android dolls brought to life through the power of science and the Japanese mysticism of Onmyodo. At the core of Steel Angels are angel hearts, which use mysticism to harness angelic energy. Unfortunately, this strength can only be harnessed in its entirety with the help of actual Onmyojin, and in the future, such practitioners are hard to come by. Thus, the Academy visits Taisho-era Japan to find a priest who can be their savior. One of their scientists, Dr. Ayana Koji, feared this wouldn't be enough and set out on his own to make a more powerful angel heart. The fruit of his labor is the Angel Heart Mark II, and it channels the power of both angels and the very demons humanity fights against. Kurumi inherits the Mark II, making her the strongest yet most dangerous Steel Angel. The Academy fears she may awaken to her demonic half, and that no living mystic will be able to control her. Ayana Koji, however, has faith in his creation and hides from the Academy with Kurumi in her unawakened state. A young priest in training, Nakahito, is bullied into searching Ayana Koji's lab. There, he stumbles upon a sleeping Kurumi, who then falls on him. Their lips touch in a kiss, awakening Kurumi with his spiritual powers. From the onset, Kurumi is absolutely smitten by Nakahito, devoting herself to him as her master. She comes on strong, both in personality and might, overwhelming the poor boy. By accident, he's become the hope of all mankind, yet he's stuck trying to acclimate to having a hot, older girlfriend with no respect for personal space. When Ayana Koji is kidnapped by the Academy, Kurumi and Nakahito search Japan to free him, all the while fighting other Steel Angels and strengthening their bond. They genuinely fall in love, such that when Nakahito learns of Kurumi's demon side, he yearns for a way to save humanity without sacrificing her. Thus, even when things are at their worst, Nakahito rushes into danger to be with Kurumi, pacifying her demonic aura and bringing about peace. She spends her life with Nakahito, remaining the kind of woman who will protect him and nestle him into her bosom. Sadly, Steel Angels live far longer than humans do. Thus, Kurumi lives on between generations and is later awakened by Nakahito's great-granddaughter for Season 2. Even further into the future, we have Steel Angel Kurumi Zero, a somber dystopian tale of Kurumi and her sisters living on as technology causes Earth to become polluted. Acid rain falls from the sky, keeping most people indoors, and yet while attending school, Kurumi crushes over a new boy. Even after all these years, she still seeks love, and I love her for it. Kurumi is one of my certified favorite waifu. I enjoy how she looks, I enjoy how she fights, and I enjoy how she squeezes in adoration of her masters. In the first series, Nakahito is but a young teenager, and Kurumi's far from a mature role model. Thus, their pursuit of Ayana Koji is chaperoned by Professor Reiko Amagi. To complete his Steel Angels, Ayanokoji gained the assistance of Japan's Imperial Army. In that capacity, Amagi was Ayanokoji's partner, having no clue he's from the future. She actually loves him, and feels betrayed when he runs off to go into hiding. The army considers him a deserter, and she's the one who destroys his shelter, revealing the Steel Angels he created. For a time then, she struggles to accept Ayanokoji's actual research, but before she can properly learn the truth, he's kidnapped by the Academy. Despite knowing very little about this threat, Amagi accompanies Kurumi's group for the chance to reunite with her beloved. She's basically the team's babysitter, or perhaps a teacher supervising a bunch of romantically frustrated teens. One of those teens happens to be Saki. I say that, but she's an android, and I don't think her actual age matters to the story. Anyway, Saki was built by Ayanokoji as one of Kurumi's sisters. After chasing the doctor from his own mansion, the Japanese army commandeers Saki and attempts to force her activation. Without the spiritual power of an onmyoji, though, they can't fully awaken her. The best they can do is make Saki into an obedient weapon against Kurumi. Not understanding this hostility, Kurumi fights her own sister, long enough to drain Saki's energy. Rather than having Nakahito kiss Saki for a true activation, Kurumi decides to do it herself, completely ignoring the fact that Nakahito's older brother is also a perfectly suitable mystic. This is cruel, because Saki awakens viewing Kurumi as her master, much like Nakahito is for Kurumi. In other words, Saki's now a lustful lesbian for her own artificial sister. No judgment there, but unfortunately, those romantic feelings of hers will never be requited. She's stuck playing third wheel, doing what it takes to make Kurumi happy. Mind you, it's not like Kurumi doesn't love Saki, it's just a platonic, sisterly love. Even when Saki is scouted to become a movie star, and she enjoys living for her own sake, her unrequited love still has her returning to Kurumi's side. The two girls are always bathing together, even in the far future, long after Nakahito's death. Given that Kurumi is able to love more than one person over the years, you'd think she would eventually give Saki a real chance. If this show were more popular, maybe someone would immortalize that in a doujinshi. Also, fun fact, Saki was awakened with an especially large angel heart, resulting in her endowed bust. This was supposed to make her stronger, but let's be real, that doesn't seem to be the case when she gets her ass kicked by our next waifu. Along with Ayanokoji, the Academy captures his other Steel Angel, Kurinka. Hoping to make her strong enough to beat Kurumi, they give her not one, but 2 angel hearts. They must be small, because Kurinka's as petite as they come, and she's very self-conscious about her tiny tatas. The general in Japan's Imperial Army doesn't seem to mind. In fact, he prefers it, fawning over Kurinka like a love-struck schoolboy. He's actually a geriatric perv, though, so perhaps it's better that Kurinka never acknowledges his existence. Instead, she's here to prove her superiority in combat. She wipes the floor with Saki's face, then uses her as bondage bait to lure Kurumi into a fight. It's clear that Kurinka resents Saki for her massive tracts of land. Despite this showboating, Kurinka still loses when faced with Kurumi's demon form. Personality-wise, Kurinka's a firecracker. She schemes, deceives, and swears like a sailor. After being defeated, she looks into Kurumi's strength and determines Nakahito to be her trump card. Seeking his kiss for herself, Kurinka pursues Nakahito, only to find out that it's the love that counts. She mistakes Nakahito's kindness for affection, and tries to force herself into their relationship. Her feelings are destined to run headfirst into a brick wall, but at least she's still following her heart, or in this case, both of them. I appreciate Kurinka's boldness and choice of outfit, assuming she actually chose it at all. It's too bad she's such a brat, though. Initially appearing as a handsome young boy, Mikhail is actually a super Steel Angel made by the Academy to subdue Kurumi. Her entire body was designed to counter Kurumi's combat data, and rather than attacking physically, her angelic powers are essentially telepathic. Mikhail's ordered to extract Kurumi's heart, and she has no remorse, believing steel angels are no more than tools for humanity. By using a spare Mark II heart alongside a normal one, Mikhail is expected to exceed Kurumi's abilities while keeping her demon energy intact. Ironically, their battle actually provokes Kurumi's demon half, fulfilling the Academy's own prophecy. Mikhail learns the hard way that steel angels are living beings who need love and affection just like everyone else. The Academy has a number of steel angels at their disposal, each created in one of Japan's various prefectures. Namely, we have Kaga, Kaori, and Tsunami, among others. They're absolutely gorgeous, but not as powerful as Kurumi. As such, they spend their time trying to understand the secret to Kurumi's might. Once they discover Nakahito's kiss awakened her, they try to kidnap him to no avail. Eventually, they offer themselves to help generate energy for a counterattack on Kurumi's demon form. This has the potential to kill them, but I'm happy to say that doesn't come to pass. As you might have guessed, I especially like Kaga. Her outfit, attitude, and spiky hair are cool enough that she could star in her own anime. It's rare that I do this, but she's a side character worth making into a certified favorite. I like bringing justice to waifu who barely have a Wikipedia page to their name. Now that all these steel angels have survived, they compete to see if they can win a kiss from Nakahito, which they falsely believe will make them stronger. The very first of Ayana Koji's steel angels happens to be Nadeshiko. It was her job to oversee the creation of all other steel angels. Even after her creator was kidnapped, Nadeshiko continued to guard his original laboratory. As her name implies, she's a Yamato Nadeshiko, an archetype of sorts representing Japan's ideal woman. By that, I mean she's polite, feminine, dutiful, cleanly, and devoted. This makes Kurumi jealous, prompting her to start emulating Nadeshiko's mannerisms. Ultimately, however, Nadeshiko humbly admits that Nakahito loves Kurumi as is. Two more human waifu from the first series are Yoshino Kogane and Eiko Kichijoji. They serve in the Japanese army, following the general's order to monitor Nakahito and Kurumi as they search for Ayana Koji's kidnappers. While they accomplish this mission well enough, they do so with ulterior motives. Kogane is, quite strangely, in love with Nakahito. That makes her a grown-ass woman pining for a 12-year-old. She even pretends to be a steel angel for the chance to kiss him. Kichijoji, on the other hand, is a feisty lesbian who crushes on Dr. Amagi. Steel Angel Kurumi 2 is either a spin-off or a sequel. I'd be willing to argue in either direction. It stars Nakahito's great-granddaughter, Nako Kagura. She, too, is shy and antisocial, reluctantly putting up with her duties as a shrine maiden while pursuing her passion of playing the cello. Her story begins when she finds a floating statue within the Kagura shrine. It pursues her, eventually breaking open to release Kurumi from within. The two girls kiss, and Kurumi brands Nako as her new master. This second series focuses more on the romantic hijinks, with a much lighter tone and conflict. It's mostly Nako dealing with the embarrassment of handling Kurumi's explosive devotion. For the most part, Nako plays a more passive role in her own story, being the object of everyone else's affections. Nako's mom, Misaki, simply smiles at all the Yuri hijinks without concern. Yeah, she's a MILF, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The more active character in Steel Angel Kurumi 2 is Uruka Sumeragi, a rich girl who's Nako's best friend and lives beside the Kagura shrine. I say friend, but it's clear that Uruka's head over heels for Nako, and is frustrated by how intrusive Kurumi is in their lives. Most of the conflict, then, is Uruka sending her doting father's private army to defeat Kurumi. Her family unearths a statue containing Saki, and in the process of awakening her, Uruka starts daydreaming of Nako and accidentally smooches Saki. Yet again, poor Saki is confined to an unrequited love, as Uruka only has eyes for Nako. Eventually, we learn that if Nako wins her next cello competition, she'll get to study abroad in Vienna. Uruka selfishly wants to stop this, and dons a skimpy power suit to sabotage the event. It's up to Kurumi to stop Uruka and force her to consider what's best for Nako. After a destructive battle, It turns out that Nako had no intention of flying to Vienna anyway. Yeah, it's that kind of show. I think Season 1 is far superior. As I said before though, the more obscure entry is Steel Angel Kurumi 0, a 3-episode OVA set in the far future. Here, Kurumi, Saki, and Karinka all share an apartment with their landlady Excelia. They're all in school, which is where Kurumi meets a new boy she likes. We never see him, and he moves away, making Kurumi depressed. Most of the story has Kurumi's roommates peacefully discussing young love, as if they were experiencing it for the first time. They don't even seem to remember being Steel Angels. When Kurumi's feelings summon forth angelic power, Excelia gets fascinated, making it the subject of her academic research. Her hacking skills let her find out that Kurumi's crush has a mental illness that makes him a holder. Basically, it makes him suicidal in the face of their dystopia. Excelia knows this because she also used to be a holder, and she committed self-harm until meeting Kurumi and the others. The story ends ambiguously, with Kurumi convincing her crush not to throw away his life. For as obscure and morbid as this OVA is, I love its production values. Excelia's cute, but we barely get to know her. Moving right along, we've got the clamp anime Chobits. In its world, people purchase and manufacture humanoid computers called persocoms. These sophisticated machines do everything you'd expect a normal computer to do, but they also move and behave in lifelike ways. This makes them useful as laborers and companions. Still, while persocoms look and act like people, they lack the same free will and emotions humans have. Rumor has it that 2 engineers, Chitose Hibiya and her husband Ichido, have made a series of highly advanced persocoms known as Chobits. They're meant to truly blur the line between human and machine. Turns out, this is true. Chitose worked at Piffle Princess Enterprises, where she helped develop the persocoms. Because she was infertile, she and her husband created the Chobits as her children. To that end, Chitose's dream is for her artificial daughter Elda to find love, aka the person just for her. She secretly watches over Elda as the landlady of Gabu Jogasaki Apartments. Her book series, A City with No People, is meant to help Elda along as she searches for that special someone. Originally though, Chitose's first created Chobit was a persocom named Freya. For a time, Freya lived happily with her inventor/parents, but eventually, she grew more and more depressed. Her sorrow caused her to lose consciousness and malfunction to the point of being permanently bedridden. The source of her despair? Being in love with her own father, knowing that he could never love her back the same way he did Chitose. Not wanting to break her parents up, Freya tried to suppress her feelings. As she was unable to bear the pain, she instead terminated herself. Elda, then, was created to be Freya's sister. Chitose hoped that a sibling companion would ease Freya's depression, and while it helped, it wasn't enough to stop her inevitable decline. Nevertheless, the 2 siblings loved each other, and Freya's last wish was for Elda to find the one just for her. As Freya shut down, Elda decided to preserve Freya's memories inside herself. This was a kind gesture, but before long, Elda also fell into despair. Freya's death traumatized Elda, and she desperately wanted to avoid a similar fate. Thus, Elda asked her mom Chitose to reset her system and abandon her. This was Elda's attempt to make sure she never wound up like Freya. Complying with her wishes, Chitose left Elda's deactivated body in a trash pile, but not before gifting her a program that could wipe the self-recognition of all other persocoms. Should Elda fail to meet her special person, the program will activate. Enter Hideki Motosua, a struggling college boy from the countryside who dreams of owning his own computer. He's too broke to buy one, and is delighted to rescue Elda from the garbage instead. Steel Angels may awaken from a kiss, but Elda's on-switch happens to be located down under, if you catch my drift. Not knowing any better, Hideki renames Elda Chi, as it's the only thing she can say at first. Chi's naive, confused demeanor pairs well with Hideki's technological incompetence. To better understand each other, Chi and Hideki seek out friends in their community. Chobits is a mostly wholesome story, with Chitose's book serving to guide Chi's relationship. Freya's dormant memories also help Chi, protecting her from danger. Eventually, though, a group called the Syndicate aims to destroy Chi, fearing her universal reset program. Fortunately, though, she's already found her beloved, and that program never activates. It's funny how Chi is supposed to be the most believable Persicom, and yet she speaks in such a robotic fashion. She may not be able to always express herself properly, but it's clear her emotions are sincere. Also, this may only apply to the manga, but Chi's got a horrible design flaw. Because of where her power switch is, she can't do the dirty without accidentally resetting her entire system, memories and all. This is something Hideki must acknowledge when accepting her feelings. With a bit of creativity, though, I'm sure that limitation can be circumvented. In addition to full-sized Persicoms, there exist miniature models designed to be portable like a laptop. Hideki's college friend Shinbo owns one named Sumomo. She's a hyperactive chibi who resembles a genie. With her tiny tambourines, she makes for a great alarm clock and enjoys leading morning calisthenics. Kotoko, on the other hand, is a more advanced model built by the renowned Yoshiyuki Kojima. She's temperamental, yet elegantly dressed in a kimono. For the most part, she's the comedic foil to Sumomo's craziness. After Yoshiyuki kidnaps Chi for research, and then some, Kotoko informs Hideki of what he did. She's programmed not to lie, and to prevent Yoshiyuki from deleting her testimony, Hideki takes over as Kotoko's owner. Since they're chibis, though, I'm not about to call either of these two hot. Another Persicom genius is the young boy Minoru Kokubunji. He has a number of custom-built Persicoms, but by far his most precious is Yuzuki. Following the death of his beloved sister Kaede, Minoru created Yuzuki in her image, both mentally and physically. Despite doing this, Minoru understands a Persicom can never replace his sister, prompting him to warn Hideki about the danger of falling in love with Persicoms. They're limited by their programming, after all. Ironically, however, Yuzuki winds up losing a chunk of Kaede's data while trying to hack into the Syndicate. Minoru has the means to return that data, but chooses not to, after realizing he prefers her being a distinctive person. It's her inability to replicate Kaede that makes her truly special to him. Whether you love a human or Persicom, both are subject to tragedy. Hideyasu Ueda owns a bakery in town. He originally bought a Persicom named Yumi to help out as an employee. They fell in love, though, and even got married. Sadly, Yumi was an older model, and her hard drive started to get corrupted. Before losing all of her memories, she saved Ueda from a speeding truck by taking the hit herself. Coincidentally, Ueda later hires a human girl named Yumi Omura, and once again, they fall in love with each other. This is, of course, before Yumi learns about Ueda's previous marriage. After she does, she starts to feel inferior to a Persicom with her same name. Thus, Yumi quits her job at the bakery to instead work at her father's pub. This is where she meets Hideki, and throughout the story, Hideki helps Yumi realize that Ueda's love for her isn't just a replacement for his deceased wife. Accepting he loves her for who she truly is, Yumi rekindles her feelings for Ueda, and they proceed again as romantic partners. Hideki and Shinbo attend the Seki Prep School, where they're taught by Takako Shimizu. Just like Yumi, she too once had a bad Persicom experience. In her case, she and her husband bought a Persicom, only for her husband to start loving the damn thing more than her. One day, she came home to find herself locked out of her own house, and ever since, she's been distrustful of men. Nonetheless, the heart still yearns. Takako starts developing feelings for Shinbo, and they elope, eventually returning as a married couple. Thankfully, not all men are non-committal pieces of shit. The last waifu in Chobits is Dita, one of the two Persicoms sent by the Syndicate to find and destroy Chi. Dita's the muscle, protecting her partner Zima physically, while also serving as a firewall of sorts. She'll intercept and attack anyone who tries to hack into Zima. I wouldn't necessarily call her evil or anything. After all, she's convinced that Chi will wind up resetting all of the world's Persicoms, and she backs off when it's clear that won't actually happen. A more cultured version of Chobits can be seen in Buttobi CPU, also titled I Dream of Mimi. This one tells the story of Akira Takaoka, a computer geek who can't afford a PC of his own. Because of this, he gets scammed into buying what he believes is the computer of his dreams, only to take it home and discover he actually bought a bio-android girl his age. This girl, Mimi Takaoka, goes by the codename Pixie and is one of several androids capable of combat and hacking into cyberspace. Unlike Chi, you can smash Mimi. In fact, you're supposed to. Not only does she use Akira's seed to register and identify him, she also needs it regularly for fuel. In other words, to use her strongest attacks and abilities, she needs to reload. Given her nature as a computer, Mimi loves Akira unconditionally, but is even happier knowing he treats her like a human. The same can't be said for other androids of her kind. The androids sent to attack Mimi are seen as disposable tools, which is quite sad. Together, Akira and Mimi explore cyberspace and accidentally find themselves caught up defending Japan from an invasion by the American company Macintosh. This short OVA has amazing animation and a retro art style that makes me swoon. For as raunchy as it gets, Mimi is a kick-ass babe who transforms into some fun power armor and unleashes flashy special attacks. To me, she's another certified favorite, one who I wish could have a longer series. At school, Akira is friends with a girl named Kanako Shimada. She's got a crush on him and only joins the school's computer club to get close to him. She doesn't actually know much about computers, but she's willing to humor Akira's obsession with them. Mimi gets introduced to Akira's friends as a cousin from abroad, but Kanako immediately sees her as a romantic rival. In a lot of anime, cousins are not off limits. Thus, she's suspicious of every moment Akira and Mimi spend alone. Funny enough, it's Kanako's ignorance of computers that helps her friends, as she accidentally installs a virus that thwarts the scheme of our next three waifu. Computer company Macintosh sends a trio of sisters to infiltrate Japan's network and take over the market. These girls are Quadra, Centris, and Performa Macintosh. Of them, Quadra is the oldest. She's arrogant, looking down on Japanese computers, while also being touched by their loyalty. Mimi and Akira's earnest partnership brings her to tears. As you can already see, she's got 1,000 terabytes of storage in her chest, and she can fill herself with even more data by sucking it out of other computers. Literally. Too bad that doesn't make her any smarter, as her attacks are more likely to hit her own sisters. On the receiving end of those attacks is Centris. She's the comedic foil to Quadra and does her best to remain calm and collected while Quadra continues to embarrass them. As a duo, they're rather incompetent, getting defeated by Mimi during their first encounter. However, with the help of their younger sister, Performa, they're able to subjugate a large harem of Japanese computers. Performa's a brat, but as the latest model, she has superior specs. That said, she's quick to flee when a virus swarms her in goofy-looking worms. I can't really complain about them. These ladies make for fine waifu villains. Leading the various Japanese androids is Forte, a computer owned by a government politician whom she devotes herself to. It's her job to protect the government's online security, initially fighting Mimi when she tries to hack in. Even though Forte's supposed to be a superior model, she loses to both Mimi and the Macintosh sisters, being reduced to a damsel in distress. It's an interesting contrast to her tough attitude and appearance. She seems more edgy and mature, but is surprisingly sentimental. She and the other Japanese androids sacrifice themselves to save Akira's life, and in return, he revives them all in the bedroom. It's a good thing Mimi doesn't get jealous. Imagine going to an IT interview and boasting about how you can rapid fire. That's actually impressive. Continuing this trend of battle rom-coms, we have Mahoromatic, Automatic Maiden. Its main waifu, Mahoro Ando, is a combat android built by the organization Vesper to fight against alien invaders. Throughout her career, she's proven herself to be swift and powerful, destroying all of her enemies. As thanks for her continued service, Mahoro is given the option to retire and live her remaining 398 days as she pleases. This is a strict limit on her lifespan that can't be altered. she recalls one of her darker fights, in which she was forced to kill her own superior officer. When he was taken hostage by an alien, he ordered Mahoro to kill them both. At his funeral, Mahoro saw her commander's son, a young boy named Suguru Misato. Even now, that boy lives by himself, left alone with the loss of his family. The guilt and sorrow Mahoro felt back then compel her to spend the rest of her days serving Suguru as his maid. In that capacity, she is both a maternal figure as well as a timid lover. Her cooking is amazing, as she's able to replicate dishes from lavish restaurants. As Suguru's caretaker, though, she's also protective of his moral disposition. Having an extreme distaste for anything naughty, she actively seeks out and destroys Suguru's stash of dirty magazines, no matter how well he hides them. That said, she makes a distinction between being nude and being lewd, as she doesn't see anything wrong with washing her master in the bath. Ironically, she's self-conscious about her small chest, to the point where she envies other girls and requests that Vesper augment her cup size. For as much as she wants to remain by Suguru's side, alien conflicts still seem to find her. As such, she uses the various gadgets and weapons she acquired from Vesper, such as her Sylphid flight pack, motorcycle, and support mech Slash. Mahoro hopes to end these conflicts as quickly as possible. If you're a fan of Saber, her Japanese seiyuu happens to be Ayako Kawasumi. In the end, Mahoro's fate is completely different between the anime and manga, thanks to Studio Gainax pulling out another mindfuck. Basically though, she dies as an android and is reborn as an infant. She grows up retaining the memories of her previous life and reunites with a much older Suguru in the future. If you think that's weird, get a load of our next waifu. Suguru's teacher at school is a massive perv named Saori Shikijo. This busty Shotakon is obsessively attracted to him, and spends most of the series attempting to seduce him. To make matters worse, she's a drunkard who squanders her savings on booze. To compensate, she makes it a regular habit to invade Suguru's home and mooch off of Mahoro's cooking. Given Mahoro's envy of large melons, as well as her hatred of dirty thoughts, she's constantly at odds with Saori, doing everything she can to protect Suguru from debauchery. It takes a lot of persistence to compete with a combat android like that. Even in the distant future, her antics never stop. She continues to lust for her young students, with a body that clearly hasn't aged a day in over 20 years. Saori says she's all natural, but I'm highly suspicious. Then again, a lot of Asian women age especially well. Even if you find her hot, though, she's rather insufferable as a person. Mahoromatic's second season, Something More Beautiful, introduces us to Minoa Ando, the cyborg sent by Vesper's rival organization management to spy on Mahoro. She's ordered to gather information on Mahoro in exchange for receiving a new heart. To be fair, her human body is absolutely tattered, and even with cybernetic parts, she's both clumsy and anemic. She always expects to fail, and apologizes even when she's done nothing wrong. This is sad when you realize that, given all her bone replacements, she should be in constant pain, but otherwise appears fine. Minoa winds up living with Mahoro after the latter tells her that, because she can cry, she already has a heart. To that end, Minoa takes up the role of Mahoro's younger sister and helps out as a maid in Suguru's household. Rather than a third wheel for Suguru, she develops a relationship with Suguru's classmate Hamaguchi. By the end of the series, she's able to heal her natural body, enough to bear a daughter named Minako with Hamaguchi. In essence, Minoa's a flawed young girl who perseveres with a kind heart and is repaid for that effort. In Mahoromatic's ensemble cast is a group of girls called the Triomatic. These are 3 of Suguru's classmates and friends who all share a crush on him. Of them, we have Miyuki Sakura, a tomboy who helps out with her family's public bathhouse. She's known Suguru from childhood, to the point that her dad already considers him part of the family. Through living with a bunch of siblings, she's developed a knack for nurture, and I definitely think she's the prettiest of the group. While she likes Suguru, she's not the type to openly confess it. This is fortunate because in the manga, she ultimately marries Suguru's friend Kawahara. Then we've got Chizuko Oe, a more energetic and optimistic girl. Whatever crush she has on Suguru takes a backseat to being more like a kid sister. Despite her innocent disposition, her dad works at a company that makes ecchi magazines. Shizuko will often sell said magazines to Suguru, refreshing his spank bank whenever Mahoro purges it. The more traditional woman of the Triomatic is Rin Todoroki. She's the most mature, both emotionally and physically. Regardless of who your favorite is, these three girls contribute to the wild comedy of Mahoromatic. A handful of side waifu appear throughout Mahoromatic as well. Yuka Misato, for example, is Suguru's late mother. There's Ando, a redhead who died in an accident and haunts the local high school. Yoshimi Tanaka is another of Suguru's classmates. Vesper's main secretary is a cute woman named Amy Sheena. This girl Sarah happens to be another of Vesper's combat androids, alongside android number 369. Riho Asaoka is one of the models heavily featured in Suguru's ecchi mags. Mysteriously, there is Matthew, an alien who shares Mahoro's memories. She is responsible for Mahoro being able to reincarnate as a human after her android body shuts down. In that same camp, we have Leisha, who's part of the Saint, a group of aliens who ventured to Earth looking for intelligent life, but were met with hostility. I'd love to give these characters more lore, but their presence is quite vague and underdeveloped, unlike their assets. Another anime that deals with androids having a limited lifespan is Plastic Memories. In its world, humans own sentient androids called Giftia, and they're used for a variety of purposes, often being treated as fellow humans. Unfortunately, they all have one fatal flaw, an expiration date, which has their internal code start corrupting past year 9. Any Giftia that exceeds this limit goes haywire, becoming an instinctive wanderer that can turn violent. As such, the Sion Artificial Intelligence Corporation that manufactures Giftia has a terminal service division tasked with retrieving models before they expire. Tsukasa Mizugaki is assigned to terminal service and paired up with a Giftia named Ayla, who is only a month or so away from her own expiration. Nevertheless, Tsukasa pledges to be Ayla's partner to the very end, not realizing just how much he'll come to care for her. Retrieved Giftia have their memories erased, such that even if you recycle the same body, they'll effectively be a brand new consciousness. As such, many Giftia owners refuse to part with their loved ones, even if the alternative is just as tragic. For a while now, Ayla's main role at terminal service has been to serve tea, but now they've got her working as a marksman. This has Tsukasa observing Ayla as she struggles to convince owners to relinquish their Giftia. Ayla previously tried to be a marksman in the past, but stepped down after her former partner got injured in a botched retrieval. Now that she's finally active again, it's sad that she can only do so for such a short time. Despite this, she and Tsukasa fall in love. She tries to push him away, knowing her retrieval will eventually hurt him, but their feelings are too strong to ignore. They make the most of being a couple until their time runs out. Ayla whispers to expiring Giftia that she hopes they'll be reunited with their loved ones someday. She takes her own advice, choosing to be reset, while comforted by the fact that she can remain by Tsukasa's side even though she won't remember their time together. It's implied that Ayla, the new one anyway, becomes his partner for another term. Whether it's actually her or someone else is unconfirmed. In either case, she definitely guides us through this bittersweet journey with a smile. Ayla's former partner is Kazuki Kuwanomi, who has since become the director of fieldwork for her division. In other words, she's Tsukasa's boss. As I mentioned earlier, Kazuki was Ayla's spotter, but got attacked by a wanderer on the job. This left her seriously injured, but was never enough to break her determination. While Ayla stepped down, Kazuki remained active with her new partner, Constance. Kazuki intuits that Tsukasa is falling in love, and rather than trying to break him up with Ayla, she actually encourages their bond. To help Ayla realize her own feelings, Kazuki nullifies their partnership and reassigns Tsukasa to Constance. Sure enough, this convinces Ayla to embrace her budding romance, even if there isn't much time. Kazuki helps them make the most of that time, and after Ayla is finally reset, she supports Tsukasa through his tears. She may seem like a no-nonsense boss, but Kazuki is actually very considerate when it counts. Same goes for the anime's tsundere character, Michiru Kinushima. When she was a child, Michiru was cared for by a giftia that served as her father. In fact, this father was the one who became a wanderer and hurt Kazuki. She was forced to watch as security arrived and eliminated him. That experience gave her a deep-seated hatred for the security division. At the same time, it taught her respect for terminal service, who do their best to prevent such incidents. Thus, just like Tsukasa, Michiru joins terminal service and becomes the spotter for Zack, a young blonde giftia who loves playing video games in his spare time. In her own tsundere way, Michiru develops feelings for Tsukasa and even gets jealous of his bond with Ayla. In time, however, she sees just how much they love each other and resolves to cheer Tsukasa on. When Ayla finishes her last job, Michiru arranges a farewell party at the office. Having been raised by a giftia, it makes sense that she would be compassionate to their struggles. Terminal service has its own maintenance team. Michiru's friend and talented engineer is Eru Miru, a pervy girl with an ample bust. At the office, she has a tendency to grope her co-workers and loves dressing Ayla in adorable outfits. As a child, Eru was neighbors and friends with a giftia named Olivia. They used to go to the town carnival and drink jellyfish juice. Even though Olivia didn't like the stuff, she put up with it for Eru's sake. Since that time, though, Olivia has been reset and now goes by Andy of Terminal Service Section 3. Eru tries to rekindle their old friendship, convincing Andy to once again try that jellyfish juice. This time, Andy actually enjoys it, proving that recycled giftia really are new people after a memory wipe. They're both cute, but you know me, I love my mechanic girls. Eru fits this trope to a T, wearing nothing but a crop top beneath her jumpsuit. For someone whose job is to build and repair things, she sure is unhinged, and I love it. Another member of Terminal Service is Sherry, a giftia who works with her human partner, Yasutaka Hanada. She takes her work very seriously, which contrasts with Yasutaka's loose approach to things. Even so, she puts in the effort to try and appreciate him, while also trying to fix his bad habits. After all, in a den of fools, someone's gotta keep their head on straight. Becoming a wanderer is serious business, and Terminal Service tries to ensure it never happens. However, they aren't perfect, and sometimes outside forces sabotage their work. This happens regarding Marcia, a giftia who looks after a boy named Sota after his parents die. She truly cares for the boy and wants him to cherish the memories he has of his mom and dad. Before she's reset, a black market giftia dealer kidnaps her. She expires in the process, and the next time she sees Sota, she tries to strangle him. Tsukasa has no choice but to terminate her with his gun. Retrieval might be sad, but surely this is even worse. Among other clients, Tsukasa and Ayla are first assigned to retrieve Nina, a young child giftia who's been raised by her owner, Chizu Shirohana. Chizu treats Nina like her own granddaughter and refuses to comply with terminal service. Nina, on the other hand, is surprisingly brave. She admits she's afraid of being retrieved, but realizes she doesn't want to cause her grandma any more pain. Her wish is to say goodbye with a smile, so Chizu eventually consents. After being assured everything will be alright, Nina smiles through her tears and is successfully retrieved. She may be only a platonic waifu, but her story is still worth telling. Our final anime for this episode is all-purpose cultural cat girl Nuku Nuku, specifically the OVA series, which has the best animation quality. This silly show is essentially a custody battle between a scientist and his business mogul wife. Kiyosaku Natsume married his wife Akiko, and together they had a son named Ryunosuke. Kiyosaku's dream was to build an android, and he created a prototype using money from his wife's company, Mishima Heavy Industries. After realizing his creation would be used as a weapon, though, he took the prototype and fled along with Ryunosuke. During their escape, Ryunosuke's pet cat is killed in the crossfire, and his dad has the genius idea of putting the cat's brain into his android. The result is Nuku Nuku, an extremely agile and capable robo-girl with the mind and mannerisms of a feline. To blend in as a member of the family, Nuku Nuku goes by the name Atsuko Natsume, and she acts as Ryunosuke's big sister. She tries to live like a normal high school girl, but her nature as a cat makes things difficult, such as being distracted by mice and having a penchant for licking people. Beyond navigating a social life, Nuku Nuku must also protect her family from military threats sent by Akiko. She never wants to fight, but will do so when necessary. Even though she can kick some major ass, she never holds ill will toward her attackers. She even gets a job working as a waitress for one of Akiko's restaurants. Aside from Atsuko's morbid origin story, everything's pretty lighthearted, even when Mishima's technology threatens to destroy Earth. The basics of this dynamic remain the same across the anime's OVA, TV, and spin-off series Nuku Nuku Dash. Atsuko is a fun waifu, especially because she's played by Megumi Hayashibara, who also sings all the show's theme songs. Akiko Natsume is the CEO of Mishima Heavy Industries, Japan's largest military contractor. Her ambition to make Nuku Nuku into a weapon pushes away the rest of her family. Unwilling to go public with their android prototype, Akiko ignores the legal system and instead tries to regain custody of her son by attacking her husband with all the latest Mishima weapons. Despite their rivalry, she and Kiyosaku haven't actually divorced and will occasionally meet up in person to argue. On one end, it seems like Akiko really wants her son back and to be a good mom. Ryunosuke acknowledges this, even though he still supports preserving Atsuko's autonomy. On the other end, Akiko's attempts to reclaim her son are extremely reckless, putting him in danger for her own selfish satisfaction. To that end, her charm and appeal only shine through when you treat all the explosives and firepower as mere slapstick. Usually, it's not Akiko who gets her own hands dirty. Instead, she relies on her two henchmen, Arisa Sono and Kyoko Ariyoshi. They're like Nuku Nuku's Jesse and James, in that they tirelessly try to kidnap a single target, no matter how miserable it makes them. They put in all the work and receive all the consequences for their repeated failures. That's not to say they don't ask for it, though. Arisa, for instance, is a gun-toting maniac who always goes over the top to get what she wants. Kyoko tries to rein in that madness, but never enough to avoid being an enabler. As a result, it's hard to feel sorry for them when they complain about their sorry state in life. The question then becomes whether they're hot enough to make up for their absolute insanity. Personally, I'm teetering on the border between opening my arms to them or staying the hell away. I don't want to spend too much time on her since she's a kid, but there's also Yoshimi Hagiwara, one of Ryunosuke's friends who comes to the beach with him. Akiko winds up using her as a pawn to thwart Atsuko, sinking so low as to brainwash the poor girl. Our final waifu in this Robo-Girl special is Amy Yoshiwaka, Nuku Nuku's nemesis with a ridiculous past. She's an android built by Kiyosaku's mentor to resemble his dead granddaughter. Her design is faulty, such that her activation caused an explosion that killed her own creator. If she ever pushes herself too hard, it may cause her body to detonate. On top of that, she deals with psychological trauma from having bad code. As such, Amy's one and only goal is to try and claim Atsuko's body as her own. Too bad she has no idea how to download her memory into another model, and doesn't realize that Atsuko's brain is still biological. Even if she were to pull it off, Amy's personality would likely be influenced by that cat brain. Regardless, she continues to antagonize Atsuko to satisfy her own inferiority complex. She claims to have a crush on Ryunosuke, but worries those feelings are fake, based on her maligned programming. With no clear solution to her problems, Amy's an arbiter of chaos whenever she appears on screen. Between those 7 anime, I just covered a grand total of 65 waifu. Even then, there are still plenty of robot girls who have yet to cover from shows like Outlaw Star, Negima, Cutie Honey, and Saber Marionette. I'm sure you guys can provide even more examples, and with enough interest, I'll continue this theme. In either case, be sure to check out my Waifu Files playlist for a ton more waifu you can experience right now. Until next time, let me know which anime or games you'd like me to cover in a future video. Have a great day, Master!
Thanks for watching. This channel relies on support from viewers like you.
Please help us out by dropping a like and comment. Subscribe for more videos, and be sure to enable notifications. Or hit up our Discord so you never miss out on a new upload.
Most importantly, if you can spare it, please sign up as a channel member, either through YouTube, Patreon, or Subscribestar. You can find links in the description. We've got perks like exclusive content or early access.
Until next time,
Celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Sal Soto, Tristan Riggin, Major, Dionysus God of Wine and Madness, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X77, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.